Kenzie Elizabeth is the host of the podcast House Guest, a lifestyle vlogger and founder of Friend of Mine, the dream brand for the homebody. She is a self-described 80-year-old in a 26-year-old's body. So, Kenzie, tell me what it's like being an 80-year-old in a 26-year-old's body.
Well, we clearly, luckily, we haven't updated that because I am now 27. So things have changed.
Okay, so how are you feeling now?
So I'm feeling quite good. I feel physically like I'm 27. Besides, I have some back issues. I weightlift, and I think it's coming from that.
I have back issues too, and you feel like it ages you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But do you think you have back problems from being a mother?
Yeah, absolutely.
That makes sense. See, I don't have a child. So
why do you have back issues?
Yeah, exactly. Yesterday, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, maybe it's my mattress. Like, these are the riveting things that I have going on in my head. Yeah, the grandma thing is just because I love a grandma hobby. I think that they're just onto something. And if you think about it, they've been on this earth longer than anyone else. So if we should be listening to anyone about, like, finding peace, enjoyment, what you should spend your time doing, it's the grandmas. And I took note.
I think it's very mature of you to be like, oh, I love, like, baking sourdough or like all these other, like, quote-unquote grandma activities.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of over the whole, like, going out and, like, getting shit-faced and, like, waking up hungover and their whole day's ruined. Like, I would love to sit on the couch and, like, needlepoint and just watch a show and go to sleep. Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
That's what happened to me. I was going out and I was blacking out too much and I was hungover and miserable and, like, I struggle with anxiety and depression already. So, like,
oh my gosh, being hungover makes it worse.
Oh my God, like the spirals. And, like, here's the pattern of my life since I was, young and started drinking is that, like, I would go, like, 2 years, have so much fun, and then just start having really bad hangovers and then realize, like, I can't do this anymore, so I take a back seat. And then it was just kind of like a cycle. I'd go back and I'd be okay for the first 18 months, and then I just kind of got bored, but also it was just making me really depressed and miserable as a person. So I went straight from, like, the Jello shots to to needlepoint. Like, it happened. Looking back, it did happen gradually, but it does feel like it was, like, an overnight shift. Because I think I finally had, like, my bad hangover, like, the last bad hangover.
There's one that, like, kind of hits you and you're thinking, okay, I'm never drinking again in my life.
I had my first hangover, like, 2 weeks ago that I've had in, like, 2 years. I mean, a long time. Like, 2 years is maybe exaggerating, but, like, I don't drink really that much anyways, and I don't drink enough to be hungover. And I sat in my bed, and I didn't do anything embarrassing the night before, right? I sat in my bed with the worst anxiety I've ever had, crying all day and throwing up. I was like, I'm not built for this anymore. I'm just simply not.
See, I haven't been hungover in 2 years for real because pregnancy and then breastfeeding. So I really just haven't had the opportunity. And I'm going on a girls trip in the future and I'm like, oh gosh, am I going to be hungover? Like, I don't know if I'm mentally prepared for that.
It's because tolerance goes down and, like, you don't have what you don't have it anymore.
I'm about to turn 30. So I'm like, oh, like my body isn't going to react the same.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited to talk to you on the podcast about just, like, hosting and everything because this is, like, a sports podcast, but I also feel like it's a podcast for people in their 20s. And I also think, like, you can host. There's a lot of hosting activities around football and sports. And so it's just, like, really exciting to have you on.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah. So how old were you when you started getting into, like, these hobbies that are a little bit, like, I don't know, like, classified as older?
Grandma. No, it's okay. I'm proud of it.
Grandma, yeah.
It's okay. So it depends because, I mean, I just kind of group everything that I do as old. Yeah. I would say, like, needlepoint and stuff that's definitely older. I was probably, like, 24, 25. But I grew up, my mom and my grandma both had, well, together, they had, like, a bedding and drapery company. So I would always go to, like, their shop and I would, quote, work for them, right? So I would, like, make little purses and I would quilt things with my grandma. And I'm very close to my grandma still. Like, we do a lot of stuff together. So I've always been into things like that because I grew up in it. So it's not, like, the most shocking thing in the world. I got into needlepoint, which I would say is, like, the most grandma of them all.
Like, where do you even get needlepoint supplies? Like, Amazon?
Well, you could, I guess, but there's a lot of, like, local, I'm really well versed in the needlepoint community these days. You're
like going to, like, the clubs, like, everybody.
I literally host stitch clubs. I'm not kidding. No, I'm like, and one thing about me that you should know is that I'm very 0 to 100. I don't like, can I cuss here?
Absolutely.
Just making sure. Okay, I don't, like, half-ass anything in my life. Like, I'm so 0 to 100, but My grandma, my grandma's a seamstress, and my grandma for her birthday, like 2 years ago, wanted to needlepoint, like to learn how to needlepoint. So I got us a needlepoint class to do together, thinking it was gonna be her thing, and then I kind of took it over, and like now she's back in it. But honestly,
I'm sure your grandma like loves having you as a friend.
We're best friends. There's no one who gets me like her. She's
like, do you want to go to a scrapbooking class?
Yeah, literally. She lives I always say she like lives in an old person's sorority home. She just lives in like an old person's apartment complex. But one of her friends, Sandy, who I think
I'm sure she would love to hear that.
Well, I tell her that all the time. She's just like, okay. But like Sandy taught her to garden, and my grandma taught me to garden. It's like a whole thing. But we took that class, but all that to say, with needlepoint, they actually had a resurgence in around 2020. I wasn't there for that, but it made needlepoint very popular amongst like millennials and Gen Z. There's brands like Pennyland, I think, is a really big one that's like made it really big. So anyways, there's a lot of younger people who actually needlepoint now, just probably as a result of the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's not just me. You'd be shocked. There's a lot of young people.
So like with all of these like grandma activities, I feel like that's not a negative thing to say. I feel like it's a positive. Like grandma activity sounds very comforting.
Yes.
Does you feel like it like affects your style?
Well, like
are you like cottage core?
No, like I'm like, look at me. I'm wearing overalls and a sweater. I actually, I'm dropping you off here, and I was like, I look like more of a mom than you. Like in my outfit. Yes, I think it's definitely affected my style.
I think it's cute, but also like I feel like you're not like wearing a crop top while you're making sourdough and like listening to or like watching Martha Stewart. But then again, you can.
I do. I think that
I actually do.
I don't feel like I wear crop tops really anymore, but like not intentionally. It's not really because of the grandma stuff. I do think that it's really just kind of like following the trends that are there now. But I do think it's definitely. Also, like, here's the thing. It's less of grandma and more of my frontal lobe developed. And I wanted to start dressing more mature.
Totally.
So I feel like maybe this isn't a good example, but my mom.
I feel like this is mature.
But this is like kind of like 90s mom. Like I grew up with my mom wearing overalls like every day of my childhood, and like the overalls has always been a big thing, and I wear them.
Overalls.
I normally wear overalls as like my daily uniform at my house. Like I wear overalls. I have like so many different pairs.
Oh, that's cute. Do you have like gardening overalls? I feel like that's very aesthetic.
Yes, I have like
Pinterest.
I have like specific ones that I'm like, those look better in the garden. Like the only person who sees it is me. Like who cares? I don't remember what I was saying, but yeah, I think it's affected.
Okay, yeah.
I've just matured. My frontal lobe developed, and I was like, I don't want to look like how I dressed when I was 22 anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you definitely get to a stage where you're like, I want to look cute going to the grocery store. And so, like, what does that look like? And then I think your style kind of evolves from there. But I think also being a mom, my style has totally evolved. But I love overalls because I'm like, they're cute. You look put together, but it's comfortable.
Yeah. It's like wearing a dress, and this sounds crazy, people are gonna hate me for it, but like wearing a dress is honestly, and I don't do this, and I wear sweats every single day, so keep that in mind, like I don't follow this advice, but wearing like a sundress is easier than putting on like sweats and a t-shirt because it's one thing. Yes. And you look so put together, and it's not on you. Like if you have like sensory issues, like that's something I've developed with my old age recently. Like my,
sensory issues, back problems.
Yes, yes. Like there's certain things that if like too much is touching me, I like freak out. So like a dress is really easy. With that being said, I wear sweats like every single day.
So you're not like wearing a dress on your couch?
No, my God, no. But
like, please.
In the summer in Texas, I have like there's times that I have to do that, obviously.
Yeah.
But it is easier. Like there's certain things that like there's ways to dress. But where I like to wear like Hill House is like my favorite brand right now, which I feel like is a good middle ground.
I just discovered Hill House.
Obsessed.
And they are so cute, but I don't know if it's because I'm tall, but sometimes I feel like I look awkward in it. It might be because I'm tall.
I would have to like see a photo, but I think that you probably look fine. I think you're probably just being hard on yourself.
Maybe.
I love a jacket as a top. Like that's been my thing the past couple of months. Like I love a jacket as a top. It's so easy. It's comfortable. I love long sleeves. I like for like my whole body to be covered just for comfort.
Right.
And like if my spray tan's messed up, like it's honestly
like don't look.
I'm like actually I have to be honest, guys. It has literally nothing to do with comfort. It's all like right now. If you saw my body, you'd be like, oh my God, you look like a reptile. So anyways, but I love Hill House.
Love Hill House. Okay, so like go through your hobbies and like how you feel when you're doing them. Like baking, is it like comfy? Like all of that.
So like I said before, I have like pretty bad anxiety. So I think that everything I do in life is to like make me not anxious. Yeah. So a lot of my hobbies are things that you can do with your hands, which is what I found that I like to do the best. And I think that is because you can't be scrolling on your phone. Yeah. And we are all so addicted to our phones. Like I'm so addicted to my phone. So I don't like scrolling. So I gradually got into hobbies. Like I've always been a reader. So I would say reading was kind of like my gateway drug to the hobbies. And I was reading like crazy. And then I over the pandemic was like, I want to really get better in the kitchen. So I started cooking, and I loved that it was time that I wasn't spending in front of a screen.
Right.
So
it's very like hands-on. Like you're thinking, it allows you to like, it's kind of like meditative in a way.
It's very meditative. Actually, someone who's like an expert in meditation, who I don't meditate because like I am just like not at that level yet, but like, I want to. I want to be a meditator, but I'm just not. And they were like, well, honestly, you meditate all the time. Like, and I was like, really? And they said that like the hobbies are meditative. So like I'm just taking that and running with it.
Well, because I guess you're just like in your own head. Just your hands are doing something and your head is like elsewhere.
Exactly. So I would say then it went to cooking, and then that naturally evolved into hosting. I've always been the friend that like my house is where everyone came to hang out. So I've kind of always been the hosting friend. Like I
was it growing up too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, like I would be the one who was throwing everyone surprise birthday parties. I would throw anything. Like I always did the Christmas parties. Like I've always been the host friend, but obviously as you get older, it's different.
Right.
So we were like doing dinner parties and stuff. And then it evolved into like needlepoint. Like horseback riding, I just like have gotten into. Like,
oh my gosh! I was a horse girl growing up.
See, I wasn't, but I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I got into it more as an adult.
Okay, so like, how have these activities like? Do these affect your like when you go on a date? Are you like, oh yeah, I was just like needle pointing before this?
No, like I don't go on dates enough at all in general. But my cousin, I'm like very very close to my family. My cousin, he's like 2 years older than me. He's like, so you hide this stuff when like a guy comes over, right?
You're just like
well, it's kind of hard to when it's like I literally sell needlepoint canvases for a friend of mine, so like it's kind of difficult. No, I'm very like I am who I am. I wouldn't, you know what I mean? But also, I mean, I haven't like been on a date really at all this year. So
wait, that's
like I've like been like checked out. So
that's kind of nice.
I'll be checking back in 2025 for sure, but. I think I have to just kind of get it out there. I mean, I wouldn't be like, I wouldn't lead with that.
Right.
You know?
You're not like, oh, sorry, I was late. I was knitting.
Yeah.
But
because also, like, I am a good time. Like, I am 27. I am, like, not really, like, this, like.
You're not just, like,
yeah,
never going out.
And I'm definitely a homebody. I would always prefer to be at home. And I would always, like, I have made it to where, like, my social life really revolves around my home because I host, like, book club. I host dinner parties. I host all that stuff. And this has not been my best year ever. So I've really been home, like, more than ever. But, yeah, maybe I just wouldn't lead with it.
Yeah,
you know?
But I do think, like, maybe leading a little bit so that they don't, they're like, oh, I fuck with that.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine, like, a 28-year-old guy being like, oh, I fuck with that. Like, okay, sick. Like, show me your needle.
No, literally. I'll be like, oh my God. And I'm like giving them a tour of my like work in progress. That's what they call it, is like a whip, like a work in progress thing. And it's like TikTok lingo.
But I've also heard from like the toxic like masculinity, like, oh, like I want a girl that like cooks for me and like does all these things. I feel like a guy would meet you and be like, wait, like she like loves these like. But I wonder if you would prefer a guy who is like outgoing, like always wants to be out, or who like also loves the things that you do.
So here's the thing: I am outgoing. But
you're very outgoing, like
yeah. But I don't. I'm very outgoing, and I'm better. As I've gotten older, I like really big group settings less and less. Like and I do love a group setting. I am outgoing, but I honestly, like, I've been so checked out of dating, I don't even really know what I want at this point anymore. So I don't know, but I do think that I think that there could be a little misconception there where they're thinking like the literal trad wife, and like I'm not actually that.
Right.
Like I like own a business, I work. I'm like
you are like so
driven.
multi-dimensional.
Yeah, like I'm very driven, and I'm like, no, I have like really big dreams. So it's like they might get the wrong idea. But the thing about hobbies for me that I think that's why I think it's so important to do hobbies in your 20s is that they build so much confidence, because it's my favorite quote by Ed Milet. Do you know who Ed Milet is? Oh my God, he's like my idol. Anyways, he always says like confidence is built by making promises to yourself and keeping them. And I think that the easiest way to do that is by creating routines. And then I think the second easiest way to do that is by building hobbies, because as you're building hobbies and you're getting good at a skill set that you were not maybe at the beginning, you were consistently making a promise to yourself and keeping it. So as you get better at these hobbies, or you just stick to them and you show yourself that you can learn a new skill, or just like engage in time on your own, it's building confidence.
Yeah.
You know?
It's crazy because after having a baby, I feel like I've had a little identity crisis with like, what do I like? Like, what do I like doing by myself? Like outside of just being a mom, because like confident in the mom part, but I'm like, what hobbies do I like? And I feel like it's hard to make time for yourself. So when I have time, I'm like, oh, am I just going to sit and scroll on my phone? So like what hobby would you recommend? Like what's just like an entry level like think that like it's attainable. Like maybe you have to have like a little bit of creativity.
Do you like reading?
I do, but I feel like it takes up time.
Yeah. Oh, so you want something that's...
I think I would want more something hands-on because I like being creative. Like you mentioned your mom was an interior designer. I got my degree in interior design. So like I like doing stuff like that, but I like being like hands-on. Like have you tried pottery or...
I haven't done pottery. That might be a good one. Also, I mean, I don't know if this is a good one.
I'm like, tell me how to find my...
I know. I'm like, let's do a little psychoanalysis here. I don't know if this would be a good one because it might link too much to being a mom, but like, I just think of, I mean, like now it's junk journaling, but like scrapbooking was a huge thing. Like my mom loved scrapbooking growing up. So I think that like that could be something that's creative. Also, it just depends on like, I don't know, because also with an interior, there's so many different avenues that you could take. Like for me and like more of home design, like I like the idea that like your home should do two things, like tell a story and look like you. Ooh. So I like doing like needlepoint things where I'm picking out pillows and stuff like that. So it just depends more on like, at the end of your hobby, think about it this way.
Yep.
Do you want something? Do you care about having something that you like and you will keep afterwards, or do you really just want to like pass the time? And do you want community around it, or do you want it to be solely solo?
I think I kind of like the idea of community.
Okay, so that's why I think joining
joining a scrapbooking class.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like something, not even that, but like when we're like, oh, Stitch Club or something, like finding. That's why I was saying that about books, because there's like book club, like something to where you're getting. I think there's something about making something with your hands that's very meditative. It's very therapeutic, and it gets you out of reality.
Yeah.
So that could be like pottery, painting, Stitch Club. Like it could be like so many different things.
How do you find these clubs? Because I know I get a lot of like feedback that girls who listen to this podcast have trouble finding like community or like making friends in your 20s. I think that is so hard. And like half of my friends are because I found them on social media. So like, are there classes? Like, do you literally just Google like scrapbooking class?
Yeah, so the way that I found...
You also don't have to be the spokesperson, like...
No, guys, I by the way, I've like fully taken on being the spokesperson of hobbies. Like,
beautiful.
I don't deserve this credit that I've given myself. No, I have a similar audience in that, like, they say that a lot. And what I always say to people, well, first off, like, the Stitch Club thing. I just started looking up like needlepoint stores and would go in person, and then I went to that one class, and then from there I started hosting Stitch Clubs for my brand. So like that was a different experience, but there's like needlepoint stores, whatever it is. I think when it comes to your 20s, you have like, especially post-grad, you almost have to treat making friends as like a part-time job.
Totally.
And it's exhausting and it sucks at first. It's very difficult, but all you have to do is find that one person. That one person might not be your best friend for the rest of your life, but you might not even talk to them a year from now.
Right.
But they might connect you
to other groups.
To other people that you guys both fit better in.
Yeah.
I also think, like, just because we both have obviously made so many friends online. We've met online.
Right.
I think just because, like, you don't have to have a platform to make your friends online, like, at all. Also, I think the easiest way, if you are someone who's listening to this, so you clearly are, like, kind of into, like, influencer culture, I would find the influencers that you like. And a lot of the time, like we had, especially when I'm like my Geneva, I meet girls all the time in Dallas that met. And Geneva was this app, I think they're still around, that it's like a group chat for like different cities. Okay. So we had like probably like 40 cities in there, and girls would just like make friends through that.
That's so
little
nice.
Like group me's. So going to if there's any influencer events, things like, I actually think that's a really amazing, oh my God, sorry, I keep moving this way. Right. I think that's a really amazing way.
I haven't even thought about that.
To make friends. Because I meet girls all the time out and about in Dallas that met their best friend through something that we hosted. Because if you think about it, like if you are following an influencer, you probably have something in common because you like that person. Right. And I think that is just like, I think that's a very underrated way to make friends nowadays.
I've heard, Jenna Palek, like Fun on Weekdays. Yes, like I've heard of like so many different like group chat, like they have like group me's for people in different cities. And I'm like, oh wow, that's such a good idea because it's like.
Facebook groups in general too are actually another amazing idea. And another thing is putting yourself, like it's kind of similar in dating. It's like you need to put yourself in like experiences or situations where your ideal person would be. Right. And I think that's the same thing with friends. And as you like develop yourself more in your 20s, this really changed for me. I read the book, The Defining Decade, and I really liked it. It's kind of like people feel, one or two ways about it. But what I really got out of the book was this concept called identity capital. And it's less about like, I think life is less about finding yourself and more about creating yourself. And your identity is built up of all of these little small things that make you you. And a lot of that being hobbies. So you like kind of create yourself in the life that you want by hobbies and different interests and different things that like, not things that you have material possession, but like relationships that you have, interests that you have. So I think that is a really good way. Like when you are, again, it all comes back to hobbies, but like when you are interested in something, like even like working out Pilates, like I think when you have common interest and you're consistently putting yourself in situations where you are surrounded by people of similar interests, I think that is really how you're going to make the friends.
Totally. I mean, I feel like you're speaking like to my soul right now. Do you have social anxiety? Because I'm like,
I do now. That's a new thing in the past like year. I think I've had social anxiety at different points in my life. I've had it so bad this year, but I have definitely had it throughout my life. Don't get me wrong. Like there's like certain specific situations that I can like say throughout my life that I've had social anxiety, and now I think I really just have it like all the time. But that's a new thing this year. So I really do have a lot of empathy for people who have really bad, because it is so hard.
No, because when you're like, oh yeah, I would like go into like a needlepoint store, I'm like, oh my gosh, you go into store and like talk to somebody. But I think that I have like a really bad social anxiety.
But also like when I went into a needlepoint store, I wasn't talking to everyone there. Like the owner, like Heidi, who's like my needlepoint grandma.
Now like, you know her by first name.
No, we work together. She calls me often. Like I love her. No, like me and my grandma. All it takes is one person, though, is my point. Like you don't have to go and you don't have to be like working a room and talking to everyone. You can just like meet one person and have one conversation, which is still scary, but I think it's a little less intimidating that way. And it's worth it. Like the risk is worth the gain.
I agree with that part where like I definitely have social anxiety, but I think that sometimes I'm like, well, would I rather be alone or like would I rather know one person? And if I see somebody in like a Pilates class over and over and over, I'm like, oh, hey, like I like your sweater. And then it just like evolves. You know how like, have you seen the TikToks of a guy meets like on Monday and they like high five. They're like, hey, nice to meet you. And then on Tuesday, they're like, bro, like let's hang out this week. And like it keeps like evolving. And they're like, all right, you're my kid's like godfather by the end of the week. I'm like, girls are kind of not like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like girls are also like very intentional and like need to know each other on a personal level.
I think their relationships are deeper.
Yes. And they're like, I want to get to actually know you, like whatever. I am so excited for the new year. I am the type of person that when the new year comes, I really look at it as an excuse to like revamp my entire life. I'm talking wardrobe, bedding, home, lifestyle, everything. And conveniently, Macy's is having an after Christmas sale live from Christmas Day all the way to January 1st. So it's currently happening. If you didn't get something on your Christmas list, now is the time to go and grab it at Macy's. Heading into the new year, I'm really trying to emphasize a healthier lifestyle and devote some time to self-care. So I got a few things from Macy's to help out with that. My first purchase I want to talk about, the Ugg boots, okay? I have my little Ugg minis here, and I just feel so cute and cozy in them, but still put together. It's that type of shoe that, like, you will always wear. Like, I wear these every single day, and I got them at Macy's. I'm currently wearing a green Reebok set from Macy's as well. So cute, cozy. And again, in the new year, I'm trying to feel like I have my life together, and wearing a matching cute, cozy set, necessary. And last but not least, I got myself a chunky throw. And again, this is just going to play into like my self-care era, reading a book, cozying up on my cute little chair, my cute little blanket. And I'm so happy I got all of these things at Macy's. Again, they're having a sale currently from Christmas Day all the way to January 1st. So if your New Year's resolution looks like fitness, or you want to have some cuter clothes, or even if you're looking for an outfit for New Year's Eve, head over to Macy's. They're having a great sale. I highly recommend. You can shop in store or shop online at Macys.com. A couple of weeks ago, we hosted our daughter's first birthday party, and with any party, you have a ton of food and drinks, and for me personally, I am not trying to wash 40 plates in my sink, right? I'm definitely the type of person that's like, okay, let's get some paper plates, and if you guys have never heard of Repurpose, let me introduce you. This holiday season, whether you're hosting or want to skip the dishes, you can keep it stylish and sustainable. You can ditch the boring paper plates and from plastic cups and replace it with Repurpose. Repurpose offers plant-based compostable tableware like their chic stemless cups that help you celebrate without the harmful waste or forever chemicals. Better for you and better for the planet, and also better for Allie because she doesn't have to wash plates and the planet doesn't have to suffer because of that. Repurpose is woman-founded and led. It was created to make eco-friendly living easy, stylish, and accessible by their founder. All products are certified compostable and made without forever chemicals, ensuring that they're safe for you, your friends, your family, the planet, your baby. They are available at Whole Foods, Ralph's, Kroger's, Albertsons, or online at repurpose.com or Amazon. So celebrate sustainably this holiday season. I mean, who wants to be washing plates? Not me. And the planet doesn't have to suffer because of that. Repurpose is perfect for the holidays. Everyone's hosting. Think of how many like small plates somebody might use for appetizers. Yeah. So Repurpose is perfect for the holidays. And this holiday season, you can visit repurpose.com and use code Sunday25 at checkout for 25% off your entire order. That's repurpose.com with code Sunday25. You can also find them at Ralph's, Kroger's, Whole Foods, Albertsons. So this year, replace it with Repurpose and host with joy for you and for the planet. Martha Stewart.
Yes.
You mentioned you posted a TikTok about her.
No, like I'm so obsessed with Martha Stewart. I've been obsessed with Martha Stewart since I was like a child.
So like is she like your like goddess, like your spirit animal?
You know, I met her a couple days ago.
Wait, no.
Okay, so this happened just a few days ago, but basically
the biggest day of my life was literally
the biggest day of my life was last week. No, I idolize her. Like I think she's so funny. I love her. Like I've always loved Martha Stewart. I think that like my obsession definitely took over more in like my early 20s, maybe like late teens.
Right.
More so than like personality wise, and like as I've gotten older, like that's all the stuff that I like to do.
Yeah.
So no, I'm like obsessed with her.
So like aside from her, is there anyone else you look up to?
Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton.
Obsessed.
Okay.
Yeah, I love her. I love from like an interior perspective, I love Nancy Meyers and just from like all of her movies. But I would say like my big three would be Dolly, Martha, Nancy.
Oh my God. Okay, iconic. Okay, so going back into hobbies, let's say like people who are watching this are like, okay, I'm super busy, but like I would really want to start a hobby. Like I kind of mentioned that. What hobbies do you think are good for like girls in their 20s?
Like, I also am aware that there's definitely people here who are like, I'm a mom, I have no time. Like, and I empathize with that. Like, I just want to say, like, I'm single and I don't have a child. So, like, that makes it a lot easier.
Well, I think the reading a book, like, I should read at night before scrolling.
Yeah.
Like that sounds, like, real.
Like, here's something I say, like, very gently with people. Like, with the amount of time that we all spend on our phones, like, you have time for a hobby. You know what I mean?
I look at my, like, what is it, your screen time?
Yeah.
Tragic.
It's dark. It's dark.
Tragic.
I think just starting even replacing it with a book and knowing it's kind of like working out. Like you don't always want to start and work out, but afterwards you feel so much better.
Right.
You'll notice how like a lot of these things are really here to like regulate your nervous system. And when I mean, just speaking for myself, like I do, especially the past week with like how much like women just in general and like business are getting attacked online, like actually crazy.
Oh, the Forbes.
Oh,
you're referring to that?
Yeah, I guess that was another thing too. Just adding to the list.
Yeah, because people mentioned that like Forbes is like a very like social media is very woman dominated, and people are making excuses like, oh, they have to pay their way to the top, and I'm like, oh, I never thought about like the criticism in that way.
Yeah, but like even if you think about, I've been on a rant page about this for like days.
Love it.
Even if you think about like the Set Active Park collaboration, okay, like let's just really think about this for a second. These two women built brands with such cool audiences and have done so well in relatively short periods of time. Right. Okay? They do a collaboration together. I'm sorry, I'm getting like so off track. They do a collaboration together.
This is interesting to me.
They sell that out. They have unprecedented traffic on the website. They're happy about that, obviously. Okay? That is a huge thing. Great. Okay? Right. They open a pre-order. So everyone else who wasn't able to get those first items, they open a pre-order for those people. Then they continue on with business and they're like very apologetic, which it's like, I don't know, it's like as a consumer, I'm not entitled to like everyone's job. If I miss it, like, Yeah, like you want to like obviously
supply and demand. Like you want.
Yeah, and you want to like have enough product for everyone as a brand owner. I understand that. We don't really do it in the way of like sellout like drops. That's just like not how we're structuring, but that's an amazing thing and it's proven time and time again that it works to build a brand.
Right.
So it's like, okay, then they open a pre-order, which is amazing. Had they not, everyone would have been like, I hate you, you stupid bitches, blah, 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 right? Then they have other launches, which if you know anything about business, obviously that's months and months and months, years in advance, especially for set. Like they've been years out. Then they do another drop and like their manufacturing for the pre-order gets pushed 10 days, which sucks. And like as a business owner, that sucks because you don't have control over that. And like the way that these girls are getting attacked on the internet, but if a man did that in business, they would be seen as geniuses, brilliant. They would never be attacked personally for their lives and who they are, what they look like, all these things. The way that they are getting annihilated on the internet for having a successful drop is actually
I haven't been following it that close.
Oh my God, it's so bad. And I click not interested on this stuff all the time. And it's like, I just feel so bad. And listen, none of us are perfect. All of us make mistakes.
Totally.
Like, absolutely. Like, I'm sure there are mistakes. I'm sure they would be like, I wish we ordered more units. They'd make more money.
Right.
Like, obviously. But like people at the end of the day, I think this just in general, like people are just trying their best. And like, I promise you, a crew neck that says like Parker set is not enough to like, to give this amount of hate towards people.
Right.
And if a man were to create a business like that, like, it wouldn't even be talked about. It'd be like, yeah, it just dropped really fast. Like, but the way that like, because we now have a parasocial relationships with brands, we're kind of entering some like tricky territory where people are just so mean. And I'm like, look, we are all just trying our absolute best. If anything, we should be talking about them like, oh my God, look at what they've done, building these women up who have worked very hard and built very successful brands. I just like, it's like really getting to me this week, which is insane.
Which it's crazy that you mentioned that because I really do feel strongly about, I don't mind hate. Like I honestly started my platform because I got a lot of hate. And I think it's like sometimes good. Like I like sometimes constructive criticism, but there's also a level of, hold on, like I'm in my fucking 20s. Yeah. I don't want to, like, I can't be perfect. And so like if I say something wrong or I do something wrong, like, should I really get canceled over that? Yeah. I think there are some things that I'm like, okay.
Obviously.
But I think within reason, it's like, I'm still in my 20s and like, I'm just trying to figure out life just as much as all these people. Yeah. And you have like these 40-year-old women like commenting on your page and they're like, oh my God, this, and this. So I can really empathize with like them getting all this hate and going through all that. And it's just like, it's really not that deep.
No, it's not that deep. And also like the only difference between like them, like between like the founders and the people leaving all the hate is that like the people leaving all the hate don't have platforms. So any of their quote mistakes or things that they've done, which I don't even feel like that was a mistake. I don't know enough, but like any, like their mistakes aren't public for all of these people to judge and to go off of. And it's like, I don't know. I just think it's like we sometimes as a whole, myself included, need to go outside and touch some grass. Like it is.
No, honestly.
It's just like so, I don't know. It makes me like very, very sad, honestly, for like humanity. Like, and I know it sounds stupid.
No,
like,
it doesn't sound
stupid. You see it in every element. It's this is a very niche example, but you see it all over the place. And it's like, and then the mob mentality, like at the end of the day, like people don't even really know why these girls are getting so much hate. And then they just jump in and they're like, oh yeah, they suck. And it's like, wait, but like guys, they did a drop. It sold out. They did a pre-order. Sorry, it got pushed 10 days, which sucks. But like if you know anything about lead times in manufacturing, like you really don't have that much control at the end of the day. If they say they need 2 more days, they can't just, I don't know. It's just like, it makes me very sad.
And I think it's like out of their control.
Yeah.
But going back to hobbies, I'm happy that we covered that though. But going back to hobbies, so like an entry level hobby, what should girls do who are super busy, like they're trying to fit it into a routine? Okay,
so like when I give advice to this stuff, I kind of like my hobbies just are traditionally pretty domestic, but that's just because that's what I like to do.
That's what you like, yeah.
So I'm not telling you to like get into the kitchen. You know what I mean?
Come on, go ahead and bake some bread.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, I think very entry. Personally, I love reading. I think reading is a good one. Another thing, entry level wise, I think it's great to do something that there's community around.
Yeah.
So even if you're not in a book club, like online, when you start reading, I always tell people to like start with Colleen Hoover because there's so much.
I was gonna ask you like, what is your like book to tell people to read that might get them into reading?
Okay, I would say for romance, I would say Before We Were Strangers, Renee Carlino, and then thriller. Why am I forgetting this? Jennifer Hillier.
I feel like a book that got me like into reading was Verity.
Yeah, Verity is a great, actually Thriller, I would say Verity.
It's really good. And I was like, oh, wow. Like the way that you feel after reading a book, you're like, wait, I want more.
And that's an amazing one right now because
that's the Twilight series.
Oh my God. No, honestly, I'm a huge Twilight fan. Honestly. I think Verity is a great one too because there's a lot of community online around it. It's being developed into a movie or show right now. So like, I think things that have conversations around that because you're naturally just a little bit more invested.
Yep.
So I think that reading is a great one. I think that if you like to work out at all, like I think that's a great one. Going to like a specific studio. I think another way to make friends is going to the same place at the same time every day.
Yeah.
Because other people are doing that. Like I have, as an adult, I feel like the equivalent to like your school friends or your workout friends.
Yes.
Your gym friends. So it's like I have people in my gym that we would have never met and probably never spoken. Like I probably would have tried to talk to them, but they probably would have talked to me, you know?
Like,
and now, like, I talk to them all the time, you know?
Yep.
And in, like, a gym setting, but I think that, especially, like, so many of us work from home, it kind of gives you, like, some sort of, like, social community. So I would say entry, like, some sort of workout.
Yep.
In movement. It could be, like, a run club, which is a great...
I didn't know how big run clubs were.
Oh my God, they're, like, the new dating app. It's actually crazy.
Yeah. I want to start going to like the Newport Beach Run Club.
Yeah.
So
people make friends all the time.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
Yeah.
But I feel like you have to do things that you actually enjoy. Like I do enjoy running. Well, to an extent. Like I like the activity of it. I don't know that I love running.
Yeah.
But I think that it's a good thing to do. And I think even if you're like a young married couple, meeting those types of friends in those settings, like you're gonna do what like-minded people are doing.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
As many of you know, my husband's been in the NFL and we've gone to a few different cities. And in each city, I don't feel at home until I find a workout class that I love going to every morning. And that's where Burn Boot Camp comes in. I started going to Burn Boot Camp back when my husband played in Los Angeles with the Chargers, and I truly fell in love with it. All of us girls would get together. We would all go to class and get coffee after. And it was my favorite morning activity because one, I'm getting into shape, but two, there's a lot of community around Burn Boot Camp. Right now, Burn Boot Camp is offering 30 days for $59 to jumpstart your commitment to you. And Burn Boot Camp is not intimidating. There are so many moms and families, also like mid-20s, like the range of people who go to Burn Boot Camp is so inspiring, but also so welcoming. I truly never feel like self-conscious while working out there. Their workouts are really attainable and like achievable, but also going to push you to be the absolute best you. And let's be real, as a mom, you're juggling a million things and self-care can sometimes feel impossible, and Burn Boot Camp gets that. So they make it easy with Child Watch and workouts that fit your schedule so you can prioritize yourself without the guilt. At Burn Boot Camp, they believe that moms and dads who take care of themselves are better parents, better leaders, and better community members. And I, for one, know that I am a happier person when I get a quick little workout in. And my daughter can tag along. So I'm not having to worry about getting a babysitter. I can literally bring her along. She has so much fun at the childcare at Burn Boot Camp. And she's having a good morning. I'm having a good morning, and we're both happy. This Commit to Fit promotion is a call to action to reclaim those promises you made to yourself because they do matter. So pull them off a shelf, blow the dust off of them, and seize this moment for self-care through commitment. At Burn, they believe it's not what you lose, it's what you gain, strength, confidence, and community, and they're setting a new standard in fitness. Burn Boot Camp doesn't believe in dieting, mirrors, machines, or scales. None of them reflect your true strength. So if you guys are interested in trying out Burn Boot Camp, be sure to visit burnbootcamp.com/Sunday Sports Club. It's the most wonderful time of the year, holidays on the house at DraftKings Casino. With this season's offerings, you'll unwrap everything you wished for, from table games and jackpots to a slot at the top of everyone's list, Jingle Bells Power Reels. DraftKings is offering a warm welcome to new players with $100 instantly in casino credits with just a $10 wager. Plus, everyone can get in on the action with a holiday reward every week. So sign up using code Sunday Sports Club because the holiday cheer is here only on DraftKings Casino. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. 21 plus, physically present in Connecticut, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, West Virginia only. Void in Ontario. Eligibility restrictions apply. New customers only. Opt-in required. Casino credits are non-withdrawable and expire in 168 hours. Terms at casino.draftkings.com/promos. In addition to like all of these other hobbies, you also love hosting.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in the house where my mom hosted every single holiday. Like our house was always like the go-to holiday house. It was like never a question. And now that I'm in my adult 20s and have a family, I'm like, wait, I love hosting. I haven't had a house to host yet. So like literally the first day I have my house, I'm waiting until February to throw my birthday party. I'm in January birthday, but I'm waiting until February because I want to have like a dinner party. So when it comes to hosting, like take us through your must-haves when like throwing a dinner party.
Okay, must-haves for throwing a dinner party. Like budget hacks, you can get everything that you need like thrifting, right? And you need to do like lead tests and stuff on that, so like look into that. But you really can't.
Not the lead.
I'm like, watch out for that. I always get comments about that. I'm like, all right, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Or at home, I have like a really great dish set that's really inexpensive that I can use for everything.
Yeah.
For my home brand friend of mine, I actually developed dinner party cards so that like because I am a floater friend. I feel like, are you a floater?
Yeah.
I see that in you. So I'm always bringing together like different groups of people, which a lot of people, that's their worst nightmare. But I'm lucky that most people get along, and I like to just like mix things up. When you're the host though, having the when you have a billion things going on and you're also kind of in charge of like making the conversation flow, you're trying to get everyone like together and talking. So the dinner party cards are just great because you have them out and then people are playing them and then it just opens conversation.
Right.
Which I love that. So that's another, we have like nightcap cards too that are like just one step deeper, like a little bit like less appropriate, but they're fun.
Less appropriate.
I think
so, like more fun.
Yeah, more fun. I think that like any like conversation card game is really, really helpful when it comes to hosting. And then it really just depends on like what you are like what your theme is. There is this brand Host, I think, HAUSTE that I always refer to, and they have guides because a lot of the time if you're cooking for a dinner party, the hardest part about cooking for a dinner party is timing everything correctly.
I could never.
It's so difficult, but they have like themed dinner parties that are set to go, and it'll give you everything, like your grocery list, your schedule, the theme. It's amazing.
Okay,
I really need to do something with them, but I love their stuff, and I think it's like host.co. I'm pretty sure. I follow them on Instagram, but they are incredible. So that's another thing that I think is really like valuable.
So what's your go-to theme?
Okay, so right now I think themes are like the most important thing about a dinner party, actually, because it makes
you're literally helping me plan my 30th birthday right now.
Okay, so like 30, 40, and Thriving could be fun to do. Like actually, why am I forgetting the movie name?
13 going on 30.
Yeah, 13 going on 30. But like that, and that's kind of like maybe a little bit overdone now. But I think like for example, one that I just recently did. For Christmas, the holiday is like my favorite movie ever, and it's like completely influenced me in every way.
Movie.
Speaking of needlepoint, I needlepoint to Rose Hill Cottage, and I have a pillow on my couch.
No way.
It's the best, but it's my favorite movie ever. And we did the holiday themed dinner party, and I had everyone come dressed up as someone from the movie.
Oh, cute.
So we had like Mr. Napkinhead. I dressed up as Amanda Woods, like arriving at Rose Hill Cottage. We had like all of the different people, and it's so much fun because it's like it's an extra element to the night that just makes it more special. And now I'm gonna do like Nancy Myers posted to her story, which like literally made my entire life. But now I'm gonna go through, and this year my goal is to host a dinner party to every single Nancy Myers themed movie. So like we'll do the Parent Trap, like things like that. So anything that like you specifically are interested in, I think even like pop culture wise, could be really fun. And it helps because it gives you direction and structure for the night. And it also makes it like that much more special versus just some like, oh, we're just having like a dinner party. Like I like a theme.
Yeah.
And
I think a theme is like kind of necessary.
I agree.
Even if it's a subtle theme. I just think that like something to have.
Yeah. Even if it's just like fall pasta night, like something like that. You know, like having a little bit of a theme, I think is really great.
Something I've actually come to appreciate is like my new friend group. Whenever we have like dinner parties or anything, like they will send like outfit inspo.
Yeah,
I'm
love
like,
that.
oh,
That's
like
so
this
JC coded.
No, literally JC sturdiest. But I'm like, Okay, so I'm like wearing sequins. Okay,
Yeah.
I got it. But like Chelsea just threw a Halloween party and it was like a murder mystery party and it was like pirate themed. And it was so much. I have not been to an adult like dinner party where like everybody, where there's a theme and it's like well thought out. And I had so much fun. And also the murder mystery was a level I've never experienced. Like figuring out who murdered who, and it was so much fun. And I think that's what even like I'm trying, or like I'm gravitating towards now as an adult, is like I don't like going out to like bungalow and getting fucked up, but like I like getting a little tipsy at dinner or like around like a group of friends, like in a casual setting. Like that's my favorite thing.
And I think this is like an experience we all go through once you realize like it's actually not fun to black out anymore because my body can't handle it, you know?
I'm like, wait, I don't remember the fun I had.
It's like, wait, I literally can't even think about how that, like not a single moment of that was fun looking back, you know?
Right.
And I just think that it's kind of like romanticizing your life. Like it just makes it more fun. Like you could go to dinner or you could do a murder mystery dinner. It's just more fun.
Yeah.
And it's more intentional. Like I feel like you're living. I just recorded with Susie Welch, who's like literally my new icon. She's everything to me. She has this class at NYU called Becoming You, and it's like living authentically and finding your purpose. Like if you don't know what you want to do in life, no, seriously, like if you don't know what you need to do in life, like you need to like listen to her podcast or like go to this class. Like I know that she does like in person like one weekend every like maybe twice a year, but like I really, really want to go. But she was talking about how there's like 3 Ds in life, and there's like, I can't remember the first 2, only the one that I am, but I'm like living by design. Like my biggest fear in life is to like just let life happen and like not live it to the fullest and not do everything that I can. And like these are really small ways of like intentionality that make me feel like life has more purpose or something, especially when you're going through a hard time. Like it's just small things to look forward to get involved and like lean in. It's just like little things of joy.
I like, and I think the intentional piece is like so important, and I think a lot of people forget because it's like you wake up, you go to work, you're at work, you come home, you make dinner. It's like the same mundane things, but it's like how can you like live your life intentionally? Like what are you doing in the car that you're finding joy, or like what are you doing after work that you're finding joy? And I think that's also really important. And when it comes to dinner parties, I think that it's like, oh, like plan a dinner party like once a month or like every few months. Like it doesn't matter. And I think that it will help like your friendships too.
Yes, absolutely.
So do you have any like horror stories when it comes to like hosting dinner parties?
Okay, I'm lucky that I haven't had a full horror story. And that is probably because I will not cook something new for a dinner party. Like I will not try a new recipe. Okay. I did just try a different version of a chicken roast like for my Christmas dinner party, but it was like, it's a chicken roast. Like you can't really mess that up if you know how to roast a chicken.
As long as it's cooked, it's fine.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
But I don't have necessarily horror stories. I will just say like people canceling last minute, which is like when I was
tragic.
It's so rude. Like when
people canceled like like the day before our wedding, and I was like, we're in Mexico.
Insane. I would actually scream. Yeah. No, that is like a different level.
Yeah.
But like when you spend like a dinner party takes a lot of effort. Like it takes a lot, especially if you're cooking the dinner party. But regardless, like if you're canceling on anything socially, let the dinner party be the last thing that you cancel on. Seriously, because it's like that person has been like slaving away in the kitchen. They've been decorating for days. They've been doing all this. Before that, they were planning it, ideating it. Like it's just really like hurtful to cancel like right before a dinner party. So I would say like it's not a horror story. Those are just like the only things that I can think of that are like bad.
Okay. And then any like, what's your favorite dinner party you've ever had?
My favorite would probably be, I would say the holiday dinner party was my favorite. And what's interesting is we only had like 4 people at that dinner party, which is like the smallest I've ever thrown. Yeah. And I actually loved how intimate it was. Like I'm realizing now that I'm realizing like the sweet spot of how many people to invite, especially when you're inviting different people from all over. But sometimes if it's too big, you can't talk to everyone and like get everyone involved. Like that one, we stayed out. We had like the conversations that I still think about that were just so funny. And we had such a good time. And like the girls who were all there, we always talk about that dinner. Yeah. And it was so fun. And I think because we had such a good crowd of people and there were so few of us, it was just very intimate. Actually, that actually was not the holiday dinner party. I'm lying. There were more people at the holiday dinner party. Anyone who watched the videos of us dressing up was like, there was literally 8 people there. You're a liar. Sorry, I got them confused. That one was great. That was like a fall themed one. But honestly, I stand by like the holiday being the most fun because of everyone dressing up.
Yeah. You know? And there was like something more to it. Do you think now like 8 people is not a ton of people? It's like a good amount of people, even 4. Do you think that you'll have a small wedding or a big wedding?
I go back and forth. not that often because I don't really think, clearly there's not really much
like,
to think about.
I'm not really thinking about my wedding
really
that often. But.
I think it'll be small. Like, I don't want, like, this is, like, controversial. And, like, depending on who you are, you get a +1 or not. But, like, I don't want someone at my wedding that I met for the first day there.
Yeah.
Like, that, I'm like, I think that's kind of insane for me. Like, I don't want that. And also that probably has to do with, like, the fact that, like, my wedding will be documented online, like, all these things, you know.
Right.
But, no, I think it'll be small, actually.
Like, how many people?
Okay, like, my cousin she just got married in April, and she, I think, had, like, 105 there.
Mm-hmm.
And that felt good to me. But also, here's the problem. I have friends all over, and I have too many people for that at this point in my life. Like, as you get older with each year, it's like, well, you don't have to invite that person to your wedding that you're drifting, so that's nice. I think I would either have to, like, really, really, the problem is I have a big family. I don't know. I say small, but, like, probably, like, 200 people.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
I had a 60-person wedding.
And you don't regret that at all? That was the best thing ever?
No, it was the best thing ever. Like,
Yeah,
whoever will listen, I will tell about my wedding because I loved the amount of people at our wedding. We also had our wedding was in 2021, so COVID affected, like, a lot of people didn't feel comfortable going. Totally fine with that. So we had our wedding on Zoom, which, like, helped people feel, like, included. But nobody from our family came except our parents and our siblings. So everybody else watched on Zoom. And then we also got married in Mexico. So people flew in, like, a few days before, a few days after, because like, it was right after COVID, like, kind of still in the midst of it. And it was, like, the best because people, if you don't do a destination wedding, I would recommend, like, a welcome party because people get to, like, mingle and get to know each other. And then on your wedding day, it's not like it's just one big party.
Yeah.
So that was
I love that.
favorite thing is, like, 60 of our closest friends.
It's hard for me to even conceptualize, like, the amount of people, like, visually. When I say, like, 100, 200, like, I don't know how many people that, you know what I mean? Like, I can't, like, actually, besides, like, Alyssa's wedding, but I love that. Like, I really do think that's the way to go. With that being said, it would be very hard because I'm very close to my extended family.
That's where your numbers are going to raise.
That's the issue. And, like, I own, like, every guy that I like. I'm really attracted to people who have, like, really good relationships with other, like, their friends and, like, family. Yeah. And they're outgoing. So, like, I can only, like, I already have, I think I don't know. It just depends on, like,
it's going to be, like, a 400-person wedding.
No, it, like, can't be that big. It really can't at all. But I really don't know. I think it'll just depend.
Yeah. And speaking of another big event, not for you, but the Super Bowl is right around the corner. And, like, a lot of people host Super Bowl parties and, like, make it fun. So what is something that you would recommend to people to, like, include to, like, make it more fun or, like, any hosting tips?
I obviously, like, depending on the two teams that are playing in the Super Bowl, I would do, like, drinks depending on the teams.
Fun.
Also, if there's, like, lore, like, if the Chiefs are in it, there's so many, like, fun ways to, like, incorporate, like, it could be, like, Mahomes themed, Kelsey, it could be Taylor Swift. Like, there's so many different things that you can do. Randomly for an appetizer, this is my number one go-to thing that I make across the board, period. That, like, every single person who comes to my house and eats this talks about forever, and they always ask for it again. They're bacon wrapped dates, and they look gross, okay? And they look weird. They sound weird. They don't sound good.
Bacon and dates, you
have to just trust me, though, because every single person that's ever had them is like, it's so good. You just stuff a date with goat cheese, you wrap it in bacon, you throw it in the oven, and they taste unbelievable. Okay. They're so good. Oh my God, they're so good. So
I'm gonna have to try that out because that's intriguing. I like dates and I like bacon, but,
yeah,
like,
you would like it then.
Never had them together.
And then kind of like football. It's like there's ways to, like, make that, you know. But again, I would really lean into, like, the two teams because it's fun to, like, add more competition to, like, the atmosphere and have people, like, lean into the two.
Even having everybody choose a team, like, you have to root for, like, one team or the other.
Yes,
that would be fun.
It would be fun, and, like, even, like, depending on the group of people, but I think, like, having people, like, especially if this is, like, a girl watch party and people are into, like, more of the, like, not to generalize, but, like, a lot of the pop culture around the sport.
I was gonna say the drama, but yes, pop culture is, like, the mature way.
The pop culture on the sport, like, having people dress up as, like, Ed Kelsey or whatever. Like, this is like if the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl, like
you're, like, manifesting the Chiefs, like, you're
no, like,
literally
I really want the
red.
Chiefs no, because, like, listen, like, I want them to, like, I want their dynasty. Like, I want that for them. Like, I really am cheering for them because, like, they're the only ones that can get that right now. And so, like, I'm hoping for the best, you know? And also it's just, like, easy with, like, pop culture.
It is.
Also, I actually just got this from my dad for his birthday, but I, like, am a gift giver. Like, that's, like, my love language. On Common Goods, they have little, like, NFL bingo things. And, like, my dad and my stepmom, like they always do like little games when they're watching sport. Like I grew up in like a very, very sports centric store. I mean, I grew up in Texas, but like very, very sports centric family. So they had these cute little like bingo things for like NFL games that are just fun to play throughout. So like I got him one that was like, my dad's like a huge Steelers fan. Like I got him like a Steelers themed whatever. But I think like having games throughout that are not even, you can make it like not even super sports heavy. It doesn't have to be like plays and who scores what. Like it doesn't need to be that. It can be like
something funny. Like
something funny or like however many
shows checking a beer or like
yes. And I think that's so fun. Like I think sports are like, they're so fun, and I love that it brings everyone together in a world that is so divided at this point. You know, like there's something about it that's just, especially like when you grow up around or you grow up in Texas, it just is like so a part of your like childhood and upbringing. There's something about it that's just like very like, I like anything that's like very communal.
Yeah.
But there's ways to make it fun even if you're not someone who's like into stats. Like I'm not so into stats, but I love sports.
No, literally, I talk all the time about how this podcast is literally stats are fucking boring. Like nobody actually cares about, I mean, some people do care about stats. I don't personally care about stats, and I don't think anybody listening to this cares about stats either. But so yeah, when it goes to sports, I always talk about how there's like a place in sports for everybody. Like you don't have to know everything. Yeah. But also like if you listen to this podcast, like I'll help you learn some stuff, like at least the basics or like the cool stuff that people want to know about, like the behind the scenes or like this and that. Like what are the players wearing to the game? I feel like there's like fashion, like everything's involved, and I think it's like a space for everybody.
Absolutely.
And I feel like hosting is like very similar to that, or like even like grandma hobbies.
Also, like you should always have chili if you're hosting anything football related.
Oh my gosh.
Like you have to have chili. Absolutely. It's the easiest thing in the world to make. Chili was invented for football. Seriously.
And
like,
it just like chills on the stove. Like
it's so easy. Yeah. Low maintenance. It makes the house smell amazing.
Add
like brown sugar or cinnamon to it and it like smells better.
Okay, my friend actually made me chili last night and she was like, you have to put brown sugar in it.
So good.
I was like, okay.
It's actually
It's crazy
so
you
good.
mentioned that because it was literally last night. And also New Year's is soon. So like what are your plans for New Year's? Are you hosting or are you going?
So like that's always up in the air for me. I think New Year's is really hard because everyone's traveling too. Like I'll be home and I have friends that are coming to visit. And so we were talking, I'm like, why don't I just like host something? Because I don't love going out on New Year's Eve. I know, shocking after listening to this.
Okay.
You guys are gonna be surprised. But I like New Year's is such a fun thing. With that being said, I have no idea what I'm doing for New Year's and I probably will host something. But like I don't know what I will do. So we'll see. But I think if you want to host, even if like you guys are going out and hosting a little cute like New Year's Eve, like cocktail hour before like AKA pregame, like in doing like
a classy pregame.
I'm like a cocktail
you're having like
hour.
people over for cocktail.
I'm like you guys are like chugging like Fireball.
Yeah.
And like there's fun things like just off the top of my head. I'd probably do something that's like random. Like you could do a game that's around like not manifesting but like guesses for 2025. Like I'm just thinking like sports related. It's like Taylor and Travis in 2025. Like and
are they getting engaged, right?
Yeah, like you do like your predictions.
I like that.
And then you can come back to them later, like do something around it. But I think that like that's fun and you have it structured to where there's like you have to do 5, you're sharing them. It just like it breaks the ice, it creates conversation. I think doing theme drinks is really fun. Adding some sort of element. I'm actually not like I like a game night. Yep. But only recently because I got into like mahjong, which is like another grandma hobby of mine. Anyways, I don't love forced fun. Like I think that, and I'm a talker, so I would almost always rather just sit around and talk to people than like play a game. So like I'm very specific on the games that I like. So when I say this stuff, I'm not saying like center your whole night around it, but I think you do need to have like some like maybe like 1 or 2 elements of something that's kind of like guiding the night, but definitely leave room. That's like when you go on a trip. For people to talk. Yes, it's like the equivalent of like when you go on a trip and like every single hour is booked on that trip. I hate that.
Hate those trips.
And I think that is very equivalent to like when you're hosting something. And it's forced fun the entire time. Like, you cannot do that. You need to, like, leave some room.
Well, and it's, like, if you're forcing fun, people can't, like, talk.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's also, like, something that makes people have a lot of fun.
Yeah, they don't get to know each other. Like, I don't know. So, not, like, no more forced fun in 2025.
Please. Okay, we're going to do some rapid-fire questions before we end the episode. So, I'm just going to say, like, this or that, and you can give me your take. Vintage jerseys or modern jerseys?
Vintage.
Rom-coms or reality shows?
Rom-coms.
That's surprising because you love pop culture.
But I don't watch, that's another weird thing about me. I don't watch reality TV. But I love pop culture.
Okay, interesting.
It's so bizarre. I just, like, growing up, my mom never liked reality, and I hated that about her. I was like, why can't we watch this? And then I got older, and, like, now I don't like it. So I'm like, oh. It's so weird. Like,
it is interesting that you love pop culture, though.
I know, but I like pop culture in, like, the YouTube sense.
Okay.
And, like, the Taylor Swift sense.
Yes,
You know what I
okay.
mean?
Running a marathon or cheering on a friend who is running the marathon?
Like, cheering on a friend for sure. I actually am going to run a half this year, but, like,
Ooh,
I'm not
that's
running a
fun.
marathon. Let's relax.
Yeah, I'm trying. That's like on my list of things I want to accomplish before I get pregnant. I'm like,
A marathon?
yeah,
Wow, good for you.
I haven't done it yet.
No,
Like,
seriously.
no.
Even saying that you want to do a marathon deserves a medal. Seriously,
yeah.
especially as a mom.
No, actually,
That's
no.
so impressive.
Awkward silences or talking over each other?
It's hard because, like, I know I probably talked over you so many times in this podcast, but, like, that's because, like, we're talking. I would prefer an awkward silence because it's not forced fun. Like,
Okay.
I think if you have silence in general, it shows that you're comfortable with someone.
Okay, yes.
In
I
a
like
normal
that.
sense, not in a podcast. It's, like, literally not what you're supposed to do, but
I can tell if somebody is like a good friend if we can sit in silence and then
Yes.
be like, oh, wait, what did you say?
Yeah.
Like, that's when I know we're vibing. Hot yoga or reformer Pilates?
like hot Pilates. I don't like
Ooh.
yoga, but I love hot Pilates.
Okay,
that
I've never taken a hot Pilates.
Oh my God, I love hot mat Pilates. That's my favorite.
Okay, I'm going to need to take one of those classes. Kelsey Brothers or Manning Brothers?
Kelsey for sure.
Cold plunge or hot tub for recovery?
Hot tub, but I have a cold plunge and I'm getting into that.
It's something everybody is getting into right now, and I
Yeah.
like it. Big night out or cozy night in?
Cozy night in.
Okay. All right. Well, where can the people find you?
Well, thanks for having me on. Also, we didn't even talk about you being on Kylie Kelsey's podcast. Like that is actually so incredible.
I'm having her on actually here pretty soon,
Oh
so
my
I'm
God.
really excited to talk with her more. But
I'm so obsessed with that woman.
it's crazy because I think we're in like such a fun place in sports where like it's starting to like go more into pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
So people are not only interested in sports, but there's like a reason to like a certain team. And I love that because I think that like it just gives people an excuse to like watch.
You know what I was thinking of?
Mhm.
If she didn't have you on like episode 2 or whatever, it would have been like a GVT prediction of like Allison Kuch is going on, like needs to go on Kylie Kelsey's podcast because it was such a genius fit.
So many people are like, wait, this is like the perfect crossover I was waiting to happen. And
Yeah.
it's crazy because we're in the same spaces, but we just hadn't crossed over. And she's like incredible.
No, it makes so much sense. Even just like personality wise.
I feel like our personalities are like very the same.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think it's iconic.
Amazing.
But towards the end of the episode, she was like asking me about like a cat. And I was like, oh yeah, like I have a cat. I have a ragdoll cat. And she was like, oh yeah, like should I get a cat? And I was like, yeah. And she goes, okay, you signed off, Taylor signed off. And I was like, oh, we're referring to Taylor as like just first name.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't want to talk about Taylor because I know so many people probably ask her about Taylor. So unfortunately, if you listen to the Kylie Kelsey episode, I'm not going to be asking about Taylor.
Well, also there's so much more, and I love Taylor. Like I went to Eras 6 times. Like I love Taylor. There's
Holy
so
shit.
much more. Well, half of it was brands too, but like
Okay,
still, I
yeah.
went 4 times on my own. Anyway, I literally went to London to go. Like I went and New
Okay.
Orleans. Like I'm actually diehard since I was like 6, but. There's so much more to Kylie Kelsey. Like, I actually think her being asked about Taylor, and I love Taylor. Like, there is so much more to Kylie Kelsey than like her affiliation with Taylor Swift. Like,
Right.
I would never ask her about that because there's so many other things.
Absolutely. And I can admire you for saying that because I
Yeah.
agree.
She's amazing. Okay, well, anyway, sorry that I
Yeah,
just added the 10 more minutes to your own podcast.
where can people find you?
I like start interviewing you. Thanks for having me on. This is so fun. You can find me at House Guest Podcast. Kenzie Elizabeth on YouTube. I do like weekly vlogs. We post podcasts every Thursday. And then that's like Instagram, TikTok, as well as Kenzie the Texan. My home brand is a friend of mine.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully you guys learned something about being in your 20s. And even if you're not in your 20s, I feel like you can apply this to any age. So thanks.